With you on Pirate Radio Live. Awesome to have Marcus Crandell and Coach Jeff Connors here in the Pirate Radio studios here on a Tuesday. A couple of questions coming in. This is a pretty obvious one, Coach. People out there want to know, Jamie specifically, what are you benching nowadays?
I will tell you that I benched 405 one time with one witness, my assistant coach, Jay Butler, who's still coaching. He's running the show up at Rutgers now, making about $500 a year. But as far as what I bench now, I don't lift weights very heavy. I do a lot of reps. I've got a gym in my garage. I do a lot of different types of bench press with different bars. I do velocity-based training where I measure bar speed or wattage produced, with my lifting as well as a few other people that I train. But I've got that capacity in my garage as well. But, you get to a certain point, and I had one shoulder, grade 4 separation in one, surgery, taking bone spurs out of the other one. So, when those things kind of happen, it's a little bit different in relationship to where your bench press is going to go and what type of lifting you want to do. But I have a squat machine, and I had my hip replaced, and they said, well, you may never squat again, but I wasn't going to go for that, though. I went to Duke. I wanted to find the best guy in the country I could find to make sure I could still lift weights, and he said, if you do what I'm telling you to do in your recovery, your hip will be stronger than it's ever been. Now, I don't know if I believe that, and I don't know if some other orthopedics would believe that either, but I am to the point on my squat machine where I'm able to do 494 for sets of 10. So I don't know what that is barbell-wise, but it's enough for me right now. So I'm still majoring in training my legs.
There you go, leg day. Coach, Jamie also asking, so we got Bryce Williams coming up later on the show. I think I remember a Camp Connors video with Bryce and Coach from back in the day, I believe. His question says, who was stronger and tougher, Bryce Williams or Julius Peppers? I don't know if that's a fair comparison there, Jamie, but I think that's good to show you've coached a lot of different types of athletes. Bryce always talked about how he would set alarms at night to wake up and eat peanut butter trying to gain weight. He couldn't keep weight on. So you've got a lot of different guys with different shapes, and how do you kind of handle all that, Coach, with the different body types?
Well, I think Bryce did a great job. When he was a pleasure to coach. He always trained hard. He worked hard. And as far as Julius goes, and that is a bit of a joke because Julius was so talented. It was sick. He was obviously the best athlete I think that I ever coached. And I can think of a couple more though. But Julius would respond to when I first went to Carolina. He was still playing basketball. He and Ronald Curry were playing basketball, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on he and Ronald. And when Julius, the basketball coach, I think it was Coach Doherty, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, he told me, do not touch my guys until basketball's over. Yes, sir. So I waited until basketball was over, and when Julius came in, it only took a 2 or 3 weeks for me to see him making pretty significant improvement. And even the size of his body started to improve very quickly because when you get these guys that have these fast twitch qualities, they respond quicker to training as well. So that's why you want to recruit people with fast twitch qualities. And Julius, for me, on that turf field, ran a 4.55. That was the best time that I had him at 287 pounds. And Julius, at the end of a workout, would always want to race a skill guy. He always want to challenge somebody to race, in a 40. And he might have got beat a couple times, but not many. But he was like a giant tailback. That's what Julius was. And I got on Julius a couple times because I thought he could have played harder in a couple games, his senior year. But I tried to be honest with everybody, but he was incredible. And I'll never forget on pro day, the guys came in and There was an individual who played professional football. I'm trying to think of his name right now. He also wrestled, and I still have this on video. And this guy came out there in position specifics, and he was in boots and jeans. And he told Julius, "Say, put your hands on me." And he kept slapping Julius's hands and then push him in the face. I think he might have hit him in the head a couple times. And they went on for probably, I don't know, maybe 2 full minutes, maybe 3 full minutes. And he was trying to break Julius, and Julius was not going to break. And this guy was bleeding, but he was still rolling, man. And I'll remember his name maybe before this is over today. But I've got it on video, and I was very impressed that day because Julius showed a lot of toughness too, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons he stayed in the league as long as he did as well. But he was not only talented, he was tough.
Question from Robert, and this kind of goes back to your training a lot of different guys with different shapes, skill sets, everything. He says, what exercises help defensive and offensive linemen stay in the game longer, the big uglies? What about specific to those guys in the trenches there?
I was always a back squat guy, and I always will be until they put me in the ground. I'm going to believe in the back squat. So that's probably the number one lift. And there are tons of variations of a back squat. Now you've got, you have accommodating resistance with bands and chain. You can box squat, and you got different types of bars that you can use to give you a little different feel. I like front squats, I like back squats, and I also liked heavy step-ups. We did a lot of those. When I was at Carolina, I had some linemen who could do triples with a fairly high box with a barbell. And, of course, we did a lot of things to make sure it was a safe lift. But I had guys that could triple 365, on a single-leg step-up. So big on step-ups. I also liked, of course, big into Olympic lifts as well, but I also like the vintage dumbbell power clean, where you have a narrow stance and you get the dumbbells outside your feet, so you're coming from the ground, and you're actually going to catch the dumbbells with them facing your body. So that's the way you're going to rack them. That's a vintage dumbbell clean, and I had quite a few guys who could dumbbell clean 120-pound dumbbells with that particular lift. So that was kind of my favorite lifts as well for linemen that I liked. But you're going to be. I love training linemen differently than skill guys, and I also have some very strong beliefs about defensive backs because I played defensive back. I believe those guys have to be the highest, the best conditioned athletes on your team because they don't substitute a lot. You're gonna bring a lot of receivers in there, and you're gonna be running up and down the field, and then you're gonna have to run across the field and pursue, and you're gonna have to come up and force. And I think it's extremely important to isolate the defensive backs. And they've got to be in better shape than anybody else with position specifics and whatever else you're going to decide to do with conditioning.
Marcus Crandell and Jeff Connors here. Kenny is a country music fan asking about Chase Rice. He said while you were at that other university, right. Doesn't give the name of it here, but we know what it is. Talked about how much did you enjoy training him and how good was he football? Is he a better football player or a musician, Coach?
Chase was a good football player. He played linebacker. He had good size. Yeah, he had good numbers in the weight room. He had some twitch, and but he had some people that he was also, I guess you could say, competing with for a job. I talked with him here recently. In fact, I found some video of Chase that I sent to him in the weight room. Chase played quite a few. He played his last year. I don't think he started, but he had someone ahead of him who was very, very talented. But Chase would go to town with his guitar, and we thought he was crazy. We're like, what's Chase Rice doing, man? I saw him last night downtown. He was trying to sing with his guitar in some bar downtown, and then he got into some NASCAR stuff, but he eventually went to Nashville and of course impressed the right people, and he just put out a new album, which is very popular. But I've been to a few of his concerts. He brought me out on stage one time, which was an interesting experience. And he was actually here at the Watermelon Festival once.
Yeah.
But you're probably not going to see him at the Watermelon Festival anymore. But I am waiting to see him on the Country Music Awards.
Yeah.
I keep asking him when he's going to show up on there. But Chase is a great human being, and also it's incredible what he's accomplished as a musician.
You mentioned NASCAR there, Coach, and a few names came to mind, former Pirates that got involved in that. Jeff Carr, I believe.
Yeah.
Of course, Dustin Lineback, Zico Pursuit was there.
Right.
Big Ed Watkins is a champion on the circuit. How about that translation from football to NASCAR? It must be pretty seamless. We see a lot of old football guys go that route.
Yeah, the NASCAR guys used to come in and they were actually recruiting. And so primarily the type of person that they wanted to see was someone like Jeff Carr. Jeff was athletic. He was just, I guess you could say he would be NASCAR strong, where he's the kind of guy that could change a tire, because he was just strong overall. Jeff came in at 190 pounds and left at about 230, 240. And I don't know what Jeff looks like. He weighs about 240, 250 now, but he could probably still change the tire. Whatever he was doing with NASCAR, I don't even remember. But I know he got to be very popular. And as far as those other guys, that's kind of what they were recruiting, as someone who had a linebacker type frame, who had good strength, had some speed, and of course, Big Head Ed was a lineman, and he's one of my favorite people that I've ever coached because of his level of enthusiasm. And he still has that level of enthusiasm out there selling boats now.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys did well, and they also took. I really think that they took the attitude and the chip on the shoulder to NASCAR, and I think that's another reason why they were successful there.
I like seeing it after a pit stop. They'll do a fast pit, and the car drives off. They all celebrate. They look like football players, celebrating a big play. So you still got that team aspect of it too. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is.
Marcus Crandell joining us along with Coach Jeff Connors. Let's take another break. We'll have one more segment with Coach Connors. If you got any more questions, we got a question about college football rule changes, one in specific that we'll ask Coach Connors about, and more when we return. Pirate Radio Live on a Tuesday. Back with you after this.